You can market and you can grow your business, but when you lead with your personality and your values, people will really connect with you. Total Swifty, we have 3 cats, 2 hairless cats and a fluffy cat. They're constantly invading my space. You really have 2 forms of currency that you can pay with. You have time and you have money. You have to be willing to invest in your business. If you are consistently growing your list with advertising and using some more advanced strategies like remarketing to your list or doing like a class where you invite people and then you offer your coaching on the back end, that should compound whether you're doing it organically or advertising. So if I go a month and I go, we didn't spend X amount of dollars on advertising, my team and I know, our little dashboard goes, you've messed up, you didn't spend enough money. You want to get an agency, you want to not manage your ads, totally get it. What is your ROAS? What is your CPL? What is your funnel conversion rate? What is your customer acquisition cost? What is your sales call show up rate? What is your sales call conversion rate? But I'm not outsourcing the competency, the strategy, or my understanding. I believe you should be able to do every job in your business. Advertising is not working fundamentally. It is usually that your content is the wrong content or your people are the wrong people. We're having relational transactions, not transactional transactions.
Episode of C2C, Coach to Coach Central, where we have raw and honest conversations about building a coaching, consulting, mentoring business. I have a superstar guest today. I'm a lucky one. And Zach, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
All right. So I met Zach. I'll start with a quick kind of intro from my side, and then I let you introduce yourself because I think you can do best. I always let my guests introduce, but I met Zach now, I think about 2.5 years ago. I mean, time flies. Oh, God.
Yes.
So first, I was going through BBD, James Wedmore, Business by Design program, and there are a lot of different things there. And one of the things is like, okay, if you want to do a challenge, Zach is your man. And there was a webinar with you and James. I'm like, whoa, I watched that and that was really cool. So I went to research. That's what I do. You go to the rabbit hole,
Yep.
And I'm like, I found you. And it was like, coincidentally, you were doing one of your challenges. I remember it was summer and you were doing one of your challenges. And Zach's kind of signature challenge is 5-day Facebook Meta ads challenge. And I'm like, ooh, I need to learn that. I joined. I've gone through the challenge, and I'm like, I was blown away by the quality of the content by Zach's. Just everything, like values, philosophy, like it resonated so much that I obviously at the end of the 5-day challenge, I joined the Zach's community, not your average membership. And I'm there ever since 2 years. So that's me introducing Zach. But, Zach has an agency doing forever meta ads for other people, obviously for him, and teaching other people how to do ads. But not just ads, in the community, not your average marketer.
Membership,
Membership. There's so much more than just ads, like everything you need to build your online business, coaches, consultants, people like me. So, and you've been doing it forever. So anyway, that's me telling you a story. Why don't you introduce yourself in your own words?
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. It's so cool to see the evolution of how people end up in my world and stay connected. And so, like you said, my name is Zach, and we are a Facebook and Instagram ads education marketing agency, and also a education and consultancy marketing company. So we work with people in a variety of capacities, but essentially at the core of our business is Facebook, Instagram advertising. How do you use it to grow your list, sell your consulting, sell your courses, sell your membership programs? And we do that through 3 main programs, which are our membership program, Not Your Average Membership. We charge $67 a month, and it's basically ongoing support and education in the advertising space. We then have a mid-tier program, which we call Advisory, which is about $500 a month. And that is like very small right now. We may expand it a little bit as we get more support, but it's myself, a copywriter, my team. We manage a community of 25 to 30 entrepreneurs who are basically like not quite ready to outsource to an agency and really want to take ownership of their ads strategy, typically spending a few $1,000s a month. And then we have our agency, which starts around 1,500 to 2,000 a month. And that is where we fully manage the ads for you. We do not do copy and creative, which is like a whole fun conversation we can have, but we tend to work with entrepreneurs that have creative teams, marketing teams, and they don't need the full service agency in the sense of like, do everything for me. They still want creative control. They still want marketing direction. But we consult with them on the marketing strategy, the advertising strategy, and then we do all the actual setting up of the ads for them. I've been doing that for about a decade, and it's super fun. We have about 20 people in our mid-level consultancy. We have about 450 people in our membership. And then in our agency, we stay nice and lean at about 8 to 10 active clients at a time. So that we're always very hands-on about what is going on in the industry. Yeah, that's that. Less professional or like businessy side. Total Taylor Swift person, a Swiftie. We have a name. I don't know why I said it that way. Total Swiftie. We have 3 cats, 2 hairless cats, and a fluffy cat. They're constantly invading my space. I have closed my door, so you won't see them today. Yeah, that's me. And I just like to keep it fun. And I don't do anything that I think is super boring. Even inside of our boot camps, we always do a theme. You can see like behind me, there's still a little bit of remnants from my last theme, which was Wicked. So I have like a ton of little Wicked things back there. We've done Taylor Swift themes. And I'm just a huge believer that's like, you can market and you can grow your business, but when you lead with your personality and your values, people will really connect with you.
And that's, I mentioned that a little bit, but I want to stress this out. Like, this is the thing that got me instantly connected going through the challenge. Now, obviously the content was, high quality, like top quality, like that's kind of out of the question. It was great. I was able, if you go through the 5-day challenge, and Zach runs this challenge 4 times a year. So, once a quarter, if you think in jump in, obviously, like highly recommend. If you've been like on the fence, should I run ads, build list building ads or not? Definitely, this is a really nice way to try it out. So the content was there, but, why I kind of didn't even think about joining the membership is that element, the personality, the fun, the easiness. And like, I love, like, one of my favorite is Zach has always said, you need to aim for B minus. Like, this is my favorite. It's my favorite. Like, always take it easy. Like you should not, you should not aim for perfection. It should be, if it's B minus, you got it. And then the fun part, like, it's very much how I think about my business and doing my business. It's not fun. Why am I doing this? I should go and work corporate. And, probably if I stayed in corporate, I would probably be making like way more than I'm making today, but wouldn't be fun at all, right? So I chose this because I wanted freedom, because I wanted the flexibility. I want to be my own boss, but I also wanted to be fun. So that's why we connected so much, and that's why I loved it so much.
Yeah, and I'm a huge believer that you can, you said it in there, like, I think you can lead with your personality and you can have great content, but it also doesn't have to be perfect to start. And I've done that through so many iterations of honestly multiple businesses, but also this particular business. I talked about our advisory program, which is our mid-level consulting program. We started it a few months ago. And, we surveyed the people in the program. We sent them a survey and said, like, what don't you like? And interestingly enough, the average rating right now is 80%, which makes me so happy. We asked them to rate it out of 10. Our average rating is an 8, which is 80%. And I love that. I think that gives us room to improve. It's not that I'm looking to shortchange people or not give them a great experience. I think that what most people don't realize is most businesses are not even operating at 80% in terms of customer experience or personality or quality of content. And so many people listening to this, you have a quality product, you're a good coach, your stuff, but we always want, because we know our stuff so well, to be operating at 95, 100% of our capacity. And that's not always possible. And when you give people version 1.0, you can create version 2.0, 3.0. Our membership satisfaction rating is really high, and that took us 3 years to get there. And I think that that's just something that's so important to remember is like it doesn't have to be perfect to be profitable, and it doesn't have to be perfect to be beneficial to your audience too.
I also think that if you show your personality and if you are fun, if you are a really exciting person to be around, you can get away with things. So you can get it like
Yes.
if you see
Yeah.
if you like if you're very boring, like plain, if you're like
Rigid. Yeah.
very I give you this, then you are going to be judged pretty high, like you give it or not, right? But if you are more than that, if you give the experience, I think you can get away with small things that are not working perfect, which is okay because everybody understands in the world
Yeah.
nothing is perfect. Like look at Apple, right? Apple get away uh issuing things like releasing things that are way not perfect, right? But they get
Yes.
away with it because people just love them
They
as a
identify
brand.
with it. Yeah.
So I think with us, with personal brands, I think it's the same. If we are open, we are authentic, and I know authentic is now is really
Yeah.
used, is really a used word. But if you are who you are and you don't mask, if you kind of show up vulnerable, and that's how I felt, then you can get away with like, you know what, this is version 1, and again being transparent, like not trying to make it
Yes.
how show fake it till you make it, like I hate
Yeah.
this
Not
thing.
posturing. Yeah.
Yeah, not showing something that you're not there yet, so you can say this is a better version, this is the trial
Yeah.
run, you want to join, and again the pricing is important, your attitude and you're open to feedback. Anyway, I want to jump in. So, I think that was a great intro, and I really wanted to kind of give the full picture, but I want to jump into the nitty gritty
Yes.
because I try to make these episodes like as useful for folks as possible. And my kind of key audience is folks who just starting out, or they still in corporate and they moving in, or they started but they kind of struggling. So it's kind of early days. They still at this, I call this 0 to 1 stage, and I think it's really hard stage. Like 1 to the growth stage, the scale stage, I think it's a little bit easy. You got your kind of toes in the water, you understand how
Yes.
things work, you kind of
100%.
figure out. But this initial stage, I think the 80% of people give up at this stage. They
Yeah.
either not make it or they just burn out, whatever the reason. So my question, your area of expertise is Facebook, Instagram ads, and there are a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion around
Sure.
that, right? So let's start with the basics. Like, when should they do this? Like
Yeah.
coaches, consultants, mentors. So they got their coaching diploma, or they get in their coaching diploma soon. Yeah, they're starting to figure out their niche. They at this
Yeah.
initial stage, is this the time? Not the time. So when is the right time to go into the ads stage?
Yeah. I love this question because what I tell people is when it comes to your coaching or consulting business, you really have two forms of currency that you can pay with. You have time and you have money. And some of us have more of one, some of us have less of the other. It just really depends. Now, I am a believer, a very blanket believer, that if you want to invest in your coaching business, if you look at this as this is something I want to grow, you have to be willing to invest in that business, right? And the thing that I always tell people is if you think back, even 15, 20 years, if you wanted to start a business, you didn't open the internet. Like we didn't even have, I mean, now I'm dating myself because it's really more like 30 years, but 30 years ago, you didn't have the internet, right? And what people don't realize is you would go to the bank, you would take out a massive loan, hoping that your business plan sounded good. You would operate in the red for 2 to 4 years, was very standard. And then hopefully you turned a profit and didn't owe the bank a ton of money. And I know that's an oversimplification, but I think sometimes in the online marketing coaching space, we kind of have lost sight of that because the barrier of entry is lower. We now have tools. We have Kajabi, we have Zoom, we have take your pick. And it feels like, well, I should be able to make the money to do the thing. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I think the first conversation is like, you have to be willing to invest in your business, right? That is how it works. Just because it's easier doesn't mean you don't have to invest something. Now, that is where the first thing I said, which is you have two currencies. You can invest time or money. I am a believer that you should invest both regularly and often. And so I'm a believer that if you want to grow your marketing list, you should spend $5 to $10 on Facebook ads pretty early on, right? Because the alternative is to invest your time into marketing. And marketing is just this big word, but that could be cold outreach, that could be TikTok, that could be Instagram, that could be Facebook, that could be networking, that could be events, that could be chamber of commerce, that could be local events, that could be international event. It
Podcast,
could be anything,
podcast
right?
guesting. I mean, the so many
Exactly. The
ways how
list
to
goes on
do
and
it.
on, but all of those require time, right?
A lot,
I'm a believer
a
that you
lot.
can buy back that time $10 a day with Facebook advertising. So I know that that can feel daunting, but there is one little asterisk that I put next to that, which is yes, grow your marketing, grow your marketing with dollar instead of time a little bit. And you have to know what you're going to offer. And so you're not in a good position to start advertising if you don't have some sense of what you ultimately want to do, right? So if you go, I'm a life coach, cool, maybe not time to advertise. If you say, I'm a life coach who offers a 3-month package structured this way, here's my pricing, subject to change as I learn and grow and do sales calls and things like that, you would be a prime candidate for marketing. If you are going, I will build a massive email list because I'm a huge believer you should grow your email list with advertising to start. You go, I'm going to grow a massive email list because my money is in my list. Wrong mentality. If you're saying I'm going to grow an email list to market my products, services, offers, which I have a sense of what those are, or I've even sold them before, that's when you're a prime candidate for marketing.
Yeah.
With advertising, I should say. Marketing with advertising.
Yeah. No, that absolutely makes sense. So I think, yeah, I agree. And often my clients, they still have the corporate job. That means
Yes.
they're very
Your
short
time is
on
limited.
time. So
Correct.
I think, so one of the objection argument I've heard some folks saying, like, you should, only do organic because advertisement is, and I don't believe that, but that's what they say.
Sure.
Advertisement is like, it's just a switch. So once you pour money into it, it gives you something. You flip the switch, it stops. Like with
Yes.
organic, you build, and then it's kind of,
Sure.
it
It's got the
gives back.
compounding effect.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
do you say to that?
Yeah, I will be honest. I think that there is some truth to that, but it's an oversimplification. So the thing is, if you are like, I'm a huge believer, grow your email list because you can email your list anytime. If you are consistently growing your list with advertising and using some more advanced strategies like remarketing to your list or doing like a class where you invite people and then you offer your coaching on the back end, that should compound whether you're doing it organically or advertising. It's just the influx. Now, is there truth to if you do no organic and you rely 100% on ads and you turn off ads, your front end stops moving 100%? And it comes back to what we initially said, which is you always have to invest in your marketing with some form of currency, money or time. And so I'm a believer that, yes, 100%, if you cut the switch, it stops. But the same thing is true with organic, right? So like we have this is like a fun little aside, but we're working on a TikTok project unrelated to this business because I always love to study different marketing channels. And we're working on a TikTok project that's like 99.9% organic. We just spent like our first dollar on advertising. And we grew that TikTok over about 30, I think it's like 37 days right now to 1,200 followers. We've generated about 25 customers. And it's really cool to see that. And I only share this. I promise I won't go super rogue on TikTok, but I only share this because in that particular business, I have not spent anything on advertising. If I stop posting on TikTok, guess what? The customers will stop showing up. So, yes, I'm not saying it's not true, but the reality is it's a good conversation to have that you should always be investing one of your finite currencies, money or time, into your marketing. Anytime you stop marketing, you buy yourself a lull, basically. And so I tell people all the time, like if you're on my email list, you hear me talk about this right around October, November. I don't talk about it as much now because people stop listening, to be honest. But I tell people October through November, what you are doing right now is making or breaking your January. And so from an ads perspective, you can cut the switch and you'll be like, oh, I'm not seeing leads, but I'm still seeing success. But you are just buying yourself time because you've stopped your marketing. Marketing is on a delay. Trust is on a delay. Purchase behavior is on a delay. And so you have to remember whether it's organic or advertising, ideally a combination of both. I'd be lying if I said I do a lot of organic. I don't. I just spend the money and I don't stop. But you need to consistently be doing it because the conversation of if I flip a switch, it stops that's just universally true. And so knowing that, we can have a deeper conversation of, yeah, I don't want to spend $300 a month for the foreseeable future. Great. You may need to also supplement your advertising with organic, or you may go, I don't want to do any organic. And you need to have that conversation that, okay, I need to allocate 10, 15% of my revenue, which is what we do every month, to advertising. We look at our ad spend month to month as one of our key performance indicators. So if I go a month and I go, we didn't spend X amount of dollars on advertising, my team and I know, our little dashboard goes, you've messed up. You didn't spend enough money. We know we need to spend more the next month, or assess why we've made that decision.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. No, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, another trick or challenging question that I get this time from my clients often.
Sure.
So my clients, coaches, mainly coaches, come to me and they're like, Lydia, we are, we want to help. We want to coach. I am a
Sure.
health coach, or I am, mindset coach, whatever. And they are so excited to help people. But this marketing thing or selling or when I start talking about ads, when they open the ads
Yes.
manager, they're like, please, please, please. So their question is like, can we outsource it, or can
Mhm.
we just do the coaching part and someone just gives us
Yes.
client? I
I love
hear
it.
this. I hear this
Yes.
a lot. And I'm like, and I get frustrated because I'm like, well, first of all, I really had to relate because I'm the weirdo who loves marketing.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Weirdo. Okay. But I understand I have a different background. I'm a finance background. I'm a business background. It's just, and I don't know, it's just fun for me. It's just as fun for me as coaching. Right. But I hear this a lot. So I'm sure you do as well.
Yes.
So many years you've been working with these folks. So what do you tell them? What can they do? I guess, what are the options there? How to make
Yeah.
this
This is
work
a
for
great
them?
question. And I love this question because I work with people all the time. Not as much now because I've learned, but I will say historically, I've worked with people who say, like, let me hire your agency. This is the first time I'm doing this, but I don't want to deal with ads. Let me just hire you. And we've been in the agency space for probably 6 or 7 years now collectively. And we don't do that anymore. And the reason is because in the first year or two, what we learned is they wouldn't outsource their marketing, they would outsource their competency. And it's just this subtle nuance that I think is super important to understand is you can outsource anything. I'm a believer of that. There are things in my business that I outsource. For example, I outsource my bookkeeping, right? I
Yeah.
outsource my taxes, right? And I'm not saying that I could go
It's the core
into.
part of the business. I'm gonna be a business nerd here.
Sure.
Bookkeeping, IT, it's not a core part of the business.
Well, I would, so this is great. And I will give that to you to a point. And if I had to, I could keep my own books. And if I had to, I could. When I talk to my accountant, like and I know this sounds really unrelated, but I promise I will bring it back. Is like when I talk to my accountant, I don't go, okay, great. I trust you. My taxes are taken care of. I ask questions. What
Okay.
I find is when I work with people in the marketing space, they take
Mm.
exactly what you're saying, which is they go, well, this is different. This is marketing. So I'm just releasing it because it's not my zone of genius. And I say, you need to treat it the same way you treat those other areas of the business, which is they are not an optional thing to understand, right? You can't decide that you don't want to understand your taxes. You have to know how they work and you have to pay them. I think that we need to look at advertising that way because so many people outsource their competency. And so I'm not saying don't outsource your marketing. However, if I say to you, this is going to sound really nerdy, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I say to you,
Yeah.
great, you want to get an agency, you want to not manage your ads, totally get it. What is your ROAS? What is your CPL? What is your funnel conversion rate? What is your customer acquisition cost? What is your sales call show up rate? What is your sales call conversion rate? How does your funnel
People
function?
are fainting now. They don't
You're
even know
100
they don't even
and I'm
know
not
these names.
exactly. And that's what I'm saying because what will happen, and I've seen this time and time again, is when you outsource your competency, an agency will come to you. And I know this sounds bad because we run an agency, but I see it all the time. Is they go, oh no, it's not the ads. It's the ads are doing great. Like it's not an ads problem, it's a you problem, right? And if you've outsourced your competency, you don't understand the fundamentals of the ads manager, advertising, your funnels, you don't understand the basics, you can't have a valid conversation. You have to take everything that is given to you at face value. So I don't think that it's bad to outsource your advertising. For example, like we outsource some of our advertising. I have my team set up ads for me, but I'm not outsourcing the competency, the strategy, or my understanding. And so to bring that all back to close, it's like 100% you can outsource anytime. But I think this is like very old school entrepreneur. Like we're talking like the people who agree with me tend to be like 60, 70, 80-year-old entrepreneurs is I believe you should be able to do every job in your business. Do you have to be the best at it? No. Can somebody do it better? Yes. But you should be able to foundationally complete every job in your business. And advertising may seem scary and daunting, but a very tangible example, we had a team member who they had a parent had to have um, hip replacement surgery. And for 3 days, they were on the road to go there. 3 days, they were on the way back. And for 2 weeks, they were out of office. And the business didn't stop. The business can't stop because we not only have cross trained our employees, but I stepped in where I needed to and said, I can do these things. I know how to cancel a subscription. I know how to issue a refund. I know how to send out an invoice, right? And so we think of those things sometimes in this silo of like, well, right, but that's core business. And I say 100%, and so is marketing. And so you have to look at it that way.
No, yeah, 100%. So I think you got to the core of the issue, and the core
Yes,
of the issue that a lot of coaches, consultants moving from the corporate world, and I'm one of them. I moved from the corporate world into the entrepreneurship world. They still keep the employee mindset. So they
correct.
keep the freelance, they call it freelance, so self-employed. Like I hate the self-employed term because it's really, really misrepresenting what you need to do. What you just described is you need to switch the mindset from the employee to the business owner. And once you switch to the business owner, you understand that you need to fulfill this whatever 10 to 12 key functions of the business, including, and I keep these are core functions, and some of them you can outsource, but you still need to oversee them, right? And it's hard to outsource them, especially right away, because it will cost you a lot of money. So
Correct.
so you need to learn them. And so this is like really this is really the choice. So I think the coaches,
Yes.
people need to make. Yeah, go
Yes.
ahead.
And I think you said something else that I think is so key is like, there is this whole conversation, which I love to have. So I'm a nerd about it, which is like, you need to have the competency in your business. But there's also this other conversation that I think is worth having, which is, well, I'm not a marketer. I'm not a salesperson. I'm a coach. And not to get too meta, but you have to coach yourself on that. Is like, that's totally fine. You can be a coach. And if we just play the game, if we just let you have that belief for a second, you can 100% just be a coach. And coaches have a variety of experience levels and, frankly, salaries. When you look at like, you can just pick one thing. Like, let's just pick, for example, I'm not a football person, but let's pick football. You can be a collegiate college football coach in US football and be making millions of dollars a year. You can be coaching high school football for volunteer, right? You're still a coach. And some people argue that fundamentally there's similar skills there, but the people operating at the collegiate level haven't said, well, it's all about football. They understand that it is about salary negotiation, press training, right? There's so much more that goes into that level that
Yeah.
when you go to
Strategy. I mean,
exactly. And
there's
so you get to have that conversation with yourself. And so I say to you, if you are having that conversation, like, I'm not a marketer, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not a coach, is like, that's totally fine. And if you choose to that identity, then you choose to not be a well paid coach. And that's okay. There are people who go, I really just want to make a couple $100 a week and do this on the side. And that's fine. But if you're saying that's not me, then you have to say you can choose the identity of non-evolution or you can choose the identity of growth.
exactly. Or, Zach, there are other options. I think I had a newsletter
Yes.
on this topic. Like, you can actually find a company and they can hire you to be a
Yes.
coach. So you still be an employee. Again, you need to find an employment, whatever it is. That could be, you can join a couple of platforms, the coaching platforms, where
Yeah.
you just register and they send you clients whenever. You don't control how many clients they send you. You don't control
Sure.
how much they pay you. Again, you're an employee, freelancer, whatever you call it. But if you decide to be the business owner, and I think we just need to hammer this
Yeah.
point. I keep hammering it. Like, if you decide to become a business owner, then um, the marketing, the lead generation, the sales, that is your part of your core core
Yes.
core business, and it's not outsourceable until you really understand. And
Yes.
even when you outsource, you need to be like really
Yes.
hands on there, and it's always needs to
Yeah.
be
And you
part
brought
of
up
your
such a
job.
beautiful point, which is like, if you don't want to do that, you can be a freelancer or an employee. And you then get to make decisions that you still don't like, right? You still don't get to choose the salary. You still have to clock in at certain hours if you go
Yeah,
employee. So it's kind of like, no matter what you do in life and business, you always do things you don't want to do or get the most joy out of. I say, my goal is to make 60% of my business enjoyable, or something I find joy in, so that the majority of the time, like 60% or more, but the majority of the time, I'm enjoying my work. And do I love responding to some of the emails I get? I can't sit here and go, my favorite part of my business is every day when my team sends me my list of to dos for our high level email inbox. But it is part of the business and it enables the 60% of the time where I travel, I enjoy what I do, I get to coach people. You get to create the life on your terms by doing the things that other people aren't willing to do.
yeah. Exactly. And there is a variety of things that you can
Yes.
employ. So I think what also another thing that people get hang up on is they listen to some guru and they
Yes.
say, well, the
Mhm.
only way to get clients for
Yes.
coaches is this. And they are like, okay, let's say it's cold outreach. And people like, oh my God, I hate cold outreach. And then they try doing it and it's painful and they're suffering and they just give up. because they just don't realize there are ads, which
Otherwise,
is
yeah.
an amazing way. Or there are, we discussed, there are 100, but at least a few dozen
Yeah.
other way how you can generate clients and leads. But it's not always easy to get that information. So hopefully they can get this from our podcast. I want to touch on one or couple of more points.
Sure.
So the ads, kind of drilling down on your expertise in ads, because we want to kind of dedicate these episodes to ads. What has changed? Like, I know there is always, like, if you talk to people, they're like, oh, ads are not working, or
Yeah.
ads are expensive, and ads are changing all the time. So, and I know this, like, I've been in your community for 2 years, and every time I
Things
go,
change.
you come up, I watch your webinar, or the workshop that we have, part of the community, the membership, and it's like, oh, glad I changed something again. And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I'm part of Zach's community, because otherwise, how would I know? I would go
Yeah.
to the ads manager and I would see something, and I will have to research. Or so uh, what have changed? Is it still working? It's
Yeah.
a dumb question, but I'm going to ask it. So people are like, oh, is it still working? Is it expensive, not expensive? How
Sure.
do you keep up with this? I mean, except for
Yeah.
joining your membership, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing is, does it work? The short answer is, it only works as well as your systems, your process, and your marketing. And what we used to be able to do, and this may or may not apply to you, but if you're someone who's like, it doesn't work, I find a lot of times when someone says my ads aren't working, the conversation is that they're not actually marketing. They're either advertising or boosting posts. And I know they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I want to advertise. But advertising at its core is just putting your content in front of people. And when advertising is not working fundamentally, it is usually that your content is the wrong content, or your people are the wrong people. And so what I want to do is just, like, as a thought exercise, remove advertising from the conversation for a second. And you have to ask the question, does my content work? Am I reaching the right audience? If the answer to those is yes, advertising, when you bring it back into the conversation, it can't not work, because all you're doing is paying money to guarantee your content is in front of people. That's it, right? And so, in terms of what has changed, I think the biggest thing to understand is that we like to say we're in a bit of a trust recession. People just don't trust as readily as they used to. We really saw a boom from essentially the start of COVID to the end of COVID, where people were like, the internet, coaching, I've never seen this type of stuff before. And it was all very
And
novel
they
and
were
new.
at home. They were at home with nothing else
And they
to
were at home
do.
all day long on the internet. And so we saw a really big boom from 2020 to about 2021, early 2022. And we saw a lot of people be really successful. And fortunately, it was a great time to make money. Unfortunately, it was an easy time to make money. And so you could have okay content because you had so many people. When you have less attention, when you don't have people at home 24/7, when you don't have people getting extra money or opportunities, it's not the same. Now you have to put the right content in front of the right. And so the biggest change that I see is, number one, that, but also that you can't just advertise your offers and services. In 2015, you could quite literally, this is going to sound like crazy, but you could just run ads, do a live class, sell a thing, make $10,000, $20,000, and you would just do it. We did it multiple times from 2015 to about 2018. That doesn't really work anymore. What is now a combination of those two things is, there's more product and problem and content awareness. There's less people just constantly consuming content that there was 2020 to 2022. And so what that means is that from essentially 2023 on to now, you have to market to build relationships. And if you're not thinking this is true, if you have Instagram or TikTok, I would challenge you to open it. I think it's a little bit of a stronger opportunity to look at it on TikTok, to be honest. But if you just go into your Instagram Reels feed or your TikTok feed and just scroll and ask yourself how many of the people, the reason I like this on TikTok is because they're a little better at this with their algorithm, but how many of these people do you actually recognize, right? And with TikTok, you're going to see lots of content, but you're going to start to realize, I actually have seen this person before. I was talking to my husband the other day and he goes, oh my gosh, I don't remember their name because he's more of a TikToker than me, but he was like, oh, so-and-so just did this hilarious video. And I was like, I have no idea who that is. He's like, you don't follow so-and-so? And I was like, no, right? And the video had nothing to do with anything. They weren't selling anything. But what that is illustrating is that people are connecting with people's companies and values a lot more in the last 3 years, give or take. And so what used to be, this is novel, this is new, this is fresh, this is populous, is now you actually have to develop relationships with people. And when you look at even like remove yourself from Meta and Instagram even completely, and you look at like for example, you look at marketing for Wicked, right? Like great movie, loved the movie, but you look at it, it's a lot of influencer marketing, right? Like they did this event where they went to a theater and it wasn't like celebrities, it wasn't brands, it was people on, they did a pink carpet, but it was people on the pink and green carpet. And it was like, I know that person, right? And so what they have essentially done is rather than market Wicked by spending thousands or millions, frankly, I'm sure they did too, but like instead of putting all this money into what we used to do, right? So think about now versus then of like, oh, we'll just run TV ads, right? They instead said, we have all of these people who understand that the trust economy is what's really vibing right now. We're going to invite all these people. And rather than pay $20 million to get into 20 million phone screens or television sets, we're going to pay $2 million, put on an incredible event that people want to come to for free. They're going to put it on their social media, which is what Facebook and Instagram advertising is, and they're going to promote the movie for us, right? And so you might be like, how does that even matter, right? What are you talking about? Well, this is what I want you to understand. Each of those people are like, I truly believe in more of an influencer economy age where people are buying from brands, people, and experiences that they trust, right? And so you have to realize that when you are doing your coaching, your advertising, your Facebook and Instagram, you need to be building a brand. 10 years ago, you were building a list. You were building a marketing list. 5 years ago, you were building an email list. 3 years ago, you were trying to get people in your webinar. Now you are trying to build an audience, a community, a tribe. That is the conversation that not enough people are having. And so when you go, my ads don't work, I say, what does your community look like? Are you nurturing the people who are coming in? Are you having real conversations? Are you doing your podcast interviews talking about what you sell? Or are you weaving in conversations like I'm trying to do about, I love Wicked, I'm a Swiftie, I have 2 hairless cats, right? And you might be like, what is, like, that's dumb. And you can feel that way. But the reality is, I have people who email me on a very regular basis. Somebody just emailed me the other day and was like, did you see the new Wicked movie? Right. And it's like, that is what we're having now. We're having relational transactions, not transactional transactions. And your ads need to supplement that.
Oh, I love this. This is such a fresh perspective,
Good.
unique angle from. There are still these folks who I believe, or it feels like they shouting back from the past, like 30 days course, 90-day course. So they still advertising the product, the result, the outcome. They still shouting this overinflated promises, and they teaching coaches, consultants to do that. And it's falling flat. Now, go ahead.
And I was just going to say, like, so I'll peel back a little bit. I don't want to reveal too much, but so I said we started this little TikTok side project, and we've actually used a lot of what I've talked about. Granted, it's not advertising because TikTok really pushes organic content right now. But that is a big reason that has been able to grow, because we are leveraging the identity of the influencer marketing. We're not selling, like, I'm not looking to get sponsored by, like, Google or anything, but we are leveraging the concepts of influencer marketing. We are weaving in story. We're having conversations. It is not just a bunch of TikToks of me being like, here's the product. It's so great. You should buy it. Like yesterday, I told it was a 90-second TikTok, and 70 seconds of it was a story about my day. Right. And it's like that TikTok actually was one of our best performers. We were tracking a little bit in terms of sales of the product we're selling. Even though I mentioned the product for 4 seconds at the very end, and it's not even what the TikTok is about. And that is just such a strong illustration that like people do that. And I just had in this particular business, I just had a client the other day. I got on a call with her and her team, and she had hired us for a Facebook ads consulting package. It's like a month long. And she goes, "Hey team, everyone, this is Zach. We're really excited to have him here. By the way, if you guys didn't know, he's a bigger Swifty than me, which is a major reason we chose to hire him, which is like, obviously I'm good at what I do and I do believe that, but like the fact that it's coming up, not even passively like, oh, did you see the new album? It's like people are actively telling us, I want people who think, engage, and love the things that I love. And if we aren't willing to have those conversations beyond, I'm going to help you get healthy, I'm going to help you find a relationship, I'm going to help you be content with your life. It's like, cool, but do we even like the same thing? Are we even similar people? Do we even connect on a deeper level?
Yeah, and it's hot. Here's the thing. I had a discussion with a friend of mine who's also a coach. We were colleagues in PwC in finance. She became a coach. I became a coach, and we had a discussion, a call, catch-up call the other day. And she's like, Lydia, and I was telling her what I do, how I help, and she's like, you know what? And she's on Instagram, and she's like, when I go on Instagram, I'm shouted at. I'm shouted at with
Mm,
all these offers, like you just told me. So the question is, how do I choose, right?
yeah.
So I think what you mentioned is one way to stand out. So you
Yes.
need to stand out. So one way is to show a lot more
Mhm.
of who you are, what you stand for, how you're different from everybody else. And you need to go, I think you need to go a little bit, maybe a little bit extreme in terms of, like when you go on camera, you have to put a bit more
Yeah, yeah,
makeup
yeah.
because you're under.
Exaggerated movements. Yes. I
Exactly.
used
So
to
I
teach
think
group exercise. It was always everything's bigger online and on
exactly.
camera. Correct.
I did a few professional photo shoots, and they put me in makeup, and I don't use makeup in my real life. So they put me in makeup for the camera. I'm like, oh my God. They're like, don't worry.
It's going to look
Like
great.
it's going to look great because on the camera, it looks
Yep.
great. So I think the analogy, like you can use this as analogy when you go online. I think you have to go a little bit over the edge
100%.
to stand out.
100%. 100%. And it's like, I think that where there's two things that I would add on to that, which is one, it is, I believe, safe to have limits and rules on that. I think some people go so extreme that they're like, everything is on the table. Like, for example, the people who don't know me personally don't really know, like, you feel free to dig around. You won't find anything too exciting, but like most people don't actually know what my husband looks like. And I very rarely reference his name. And he is never in my Instagram, and he is never in my Instagram stories, because we had a conversation. And he's like, I don't want to be part of your business or your branding. Totally fine. Um, and then the other thing of that is you don't have to fake it, right? So it's like, yes, you take like, if like to me, I'm not, well, this is a bad example, but I'm not running around being like Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that. I actually am. So that's not the best example. But like I'm not like Taylor Swift does not consume my life to the point that I'm not eating and drinking, right? But when I'm online, do I ham that up? 100%. But I'm not faking that extreme allegiance, right? Like you can see it in the background. I buy the merch, I have the stuff, right? And so
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I think it is
It's
okay
not
to
made
like,
up. It's not made up.
exactly. You have this persona. People who know me in real life aren't like, I really have four talking points. It's Taylor Swift. Right now it's Wicked. It's my three cats. And sometimes
Disney?
I talk about my
Disney?
tattoos. Like Disney, thank you. Disney's the fourth one. So it's like I have those four things and I ham them up and I talk them up. And that's the persona. But are those the only 4 things my life revolves around? No. And that's okay. It's okay to build that persona because it's built on who I truly am. Like, I do truly love these things. And it's okay to have limits where you go, and that isn't coming online.
Yeah, no, that's important. That's important. I think I have a lot of pushback from people and from my old Instagram days. People are like, I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't
You
have
don't have
to.
to.
No, you can show, as much as you can, but just, you just have to. Okay. One last question before we wrap
Sure.
up. But I really want to ask that question. Um, and I do know the answer, but I still want to hear this, and I hope
I hope I get it
I
right.
I hope I get it right, and I hope and I want people to hear it from you because who am I? Um, it's okay. I don't want to sound mean, but it's like easy for you because
Sure.
you've been around, right?
Yep.
You do have your personal brand. So the
Yes.
question is, like, and you've built it while it was a bit easier,
Easier.
right?
Fair. 100%.
Less people, easier because of the various factors,
Yeah.
you know,
Less saturation, lower ad
yeah,
costs,
yeah,
better
yeah,
organic reach, all of it.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, a lot of things. Um, so today it's harder, just,
Sure.
no doubt. Do we stand a chance? Like, do I stand a chance? And do other people who like sit in the corporate cage
Yes.
and they're like, do I even have a chance to build my personal brand
Yes. I love
today?
this. I love this question. And so I have 2 answers. Answer number 1 is something that I love to say, which is that in a sea of sameness, it's very easy to stand out. I think so many of us watch what other coaches do, or we watch what other gurus preach, or we watch what other people are doing, and we think, I'll just do that. And I think that that is a lot of our downfall. And if you are in, I would say maybe 50% of my coaching calls, somebody will ask me, well, what should I do about this? And I will say in at least 50% of coaching calls, something along the lines of, but that's just how I would do it. If that doesn't feel good, feel aligned, or work for you, or it's something you're not willing to test, don't do it. Or you want to adapt, change, or adjust, I would do that. Right. I think it is there are definitely advantages to being here 10 years ago. No bones about it. Like, we had Periscope was a really big one. And it was
Not
just
for
so
long,
easy.
though. Not
Yeah,
for long,
not for
though.
long, but it was just easy. You could just go online. Like, we had like 20,000 followers in like 6 months, right? Super easy. And that's my first answer. Like, you have to realize that you can still succeed in this space. And yes, it might be harder, but the fact that so many people are doing the same thing can actually be your advantage for it to be easier, right? The other argument that I have, or the other answer, is that, um, and this will sound blunt, but that is to me a very, it's a narrow, I don't want to say that. It's not a victim mindset. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I just don't have the right words on the spot. But what I tell people is you're focused on a missed opportunity instead of a current opportunity, right? And so I'm really glad that I mentioned this earlier. Like, we have this TikTok that's, I wouldn't say it's blowing up, right? It's really not. But we have 1,200, 1,300 followers now in 37 days. We didn't have TikTok in 2015. You couldn't create video content and put it on the internet. And some people go, well, yeah, but video is harder and you used to be able to just post. Okay. But my posts did not go, like, we have had things reach 10, 20, 30,000 people that we produced in 5 minutes. We have had stuff years ago that I would take an hour to produce that would reach 1,000 people. So I'm not saying that ad costs aren't higher or Instagram is harder, but what I am saying is, where you focus and go is where your attention goes and focus grows. That's what will manifest for you. And that's not woo, that's just what you pay attention to is what you're going to start to observe. If you instead have the conversation with yourself, oh my gosh, short form video is taking off. People are really connecting with people. Influencer marketing is like very much trending and up and coming. Nobody is doing this. I don't see anybody talking about X, Y, and Z. I see this massive opportunity in the market. If you put your attention there, that's where you're going to see the opportunity. And so, just to tie it into advertising, it's like, that's your choice. You can go, my ad costs are really high right now, or you can go, my ad costs are really high right now. This is what we're doing, by the way. In December, ad costs are really high. I'm going to double down because most people won't be willing to advertise right now. I see a massive opportunity because it's so loud January through November in the advertising world. Right now, small potato people in my space don't want to advertise. So what am I doing? I increased my budget. Does it cost me a little more? Sure. But I'm seeing that as a massive opportunity. For the TikTok thing, I'm going, I could advertise this, but I see a massive opportunity in short form video. And so the reality is it's always going to be harder now than it was 10 years ago because there's always going to be a new opportunity. But it's always going to be easier now than it was 10 years ago in another way. And so you get to choose the conversation that you have with yourself. You can go, there's a million coaches out there. 100% there are. And there's a million cars and people are still running car dealerships. So you get to choose what place you want to operate from. And I know you that you're not taking that person, but I just throw that out there for everybody. It's like, that's something that I always tell people is like, yeah, maybe it is harder in X, Y, and Z, but maybe it's easier in these other ways. When I started in 2015, like we didn't have Canva. We had PicMonkey, which is like, if you know, you know. Yeah.
Paintbrush.
We didn't even have the way to edit photos, right? And so it's like, but the ease of making photos then creates a saturation. Now it's like video is the new thing. That's harder, right? And I very see much up and on the horizon is like AI using it correctly is still not that you can't go into ChatGPT and make images and all that and like make videos, but the people that I see, and I have friends that are doing this, like I literally right before we got on had a friend text me, somebody just paid him multiple 5 figures to do AI consulting in their business on how to put AI agents in their business, right? And so we see, but everybody's using ChatGPT, everybody, but he's on the outer edge of that. And so when you're on the outer edge, when you're being the person who sees the opportunity on the sidelines, that's when it does not matter how hard it is because there's always new opportunities coming around.
Yeah. No, I'm glad. I'm glad I had the right answer. Yeah.
Good.
I think it's the same. Like it would be. I think it's a similar question to like, okay, there are so many books. Should I write a book?
Sure.
Right. Like nobody's asking that question. Right.
Yeah.
Because we like new things. Right. We like new things. We like, we haven't read all the books that have been written, but when there is a new book coming next month,
we
are
want
we
it.
buying it? We want it, right? So I think there are a lot of analogies. There are so many paintings. So should we stop painting? No, nobody. And so I think it's a combination of what you said, but also the internal pull. If you're doing it like for money, like maybe then you should reconsider and find what is the current
Sure, there's always
thing.
easier ways to make money.
Exactly. But if you have this internal pull, right? Like I really love this thing. I really love, for you is like doing ads.
Advertising. I do. I love it. I'm a nerd.
Exactly. there you go. I love helping people. So I'm like, well, I love this. So I just need to figure out a creative way. And the way I need to do it today is different. So yes, it means I need to learn, which actually I love because I love learning new things. So yeah, I agree. All right. It's been amazing. I don't wanna keep you too long, although we can be talking forever. But okay, Zach, how folks can find you, the easiest way how to find you online. And the links.
Yeah, if you want to follow online, you can follow me over on Instagram at Zach Spuckler. I don't do a lot of organic content, but if you follow me there, you'll start getting my ads. And if you're more interested in like the what we offer, what we do, or you want to join one of our boot camps, heartsoulhustle.com. That's our primary website. It has everything. I'm always embarrassed by our website. One of these days I'm not going to be, but I am right now. But all the stuff is there. So you're cool with like a okay website and good content, check it out.
That's a cool thing, and that's what I keep telling folks. Like, forget you don't need a perfect website. You don't need a
No.
perfect Instagram. You don't need. I mean, you can be making shit ton of money without these things. And
Yeah.
you're a great example. Okay, Zach, thank you so much. I
Thank
love to
you.
have you, my coach, my mentor, and it was lovely to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.